Hi everyone, Mark Anthony here, thevegastourist.com. As a professional tour guide in Las Vegas, I get asked a lot of questions about Las Vegas, about its history and what's going on down on the Strip. So I thought this would be probably a really cool way to answer some of those questions. Now, one of the questions that I get asked on a routine basis is, why is the Trump Tower built so far off the Strip? Well, to answer that question, you really need to go back to 1998. Now, in 1998, that entire site was the New Frontier, also known as the Old Frontier and on the Frontier. Originally built in 1941, it was one of the original casino resorts on the LA Highway, Highway 91, something that today we call the Las Vegas Strip, or the Las Vegas Boulevard. Now, in 1965, that's where Elvis Presley first performed in Las Vegas to an underwhelming crowd. Actually, it wasn't much of a crowd, all right? Now, in 1967, it was owned for a brief time by the billionaire Howard Hughes. Also, Steve Wynn owned a 5% share in there as well. All right. 1998, a Kansas businessman, Phil Ruffin, comes into town and he purchases it for $165 million. Fast forward 9 years, 2007, he breaks off 7 acres to do a deal with Donald Trump. The front 36 acres he sells to an Israeli group for $1.2 billion. That's about $20 to $30 million an acre, and by today's standards, that would be a record amount that will hopefully stand for many, many years. The idea was that Donald Trump was going to build 2 towers. They were going to be condominium high-end timeshares. And what that meant was that you could purchase one of these units for a couple $1 million. Now where were you going to get the guests to fill those rooms? Very simple. The Israeli group had already leveled the Frontier, and they were going to build a $5 billion resort called the Plaza. Trump's idea was that he would get his guests from there, the high rollers and the whales that came to the Plaza because they knew of the Plaza in New York, and they also knew the name, the Trump. So they would come to the Plaza, they would gamble and they would play and all that, and then once they were done, they would want to stay someplace else. The Trump Towers. Now, you got to remember, back in this period there, Vegas was booming. Getting $600 a night for a room wasn't out of the question. And that, according to court records, is how Trump sold to the investors. You would buy one of these units for a couple $1 million. Trump would get these guests from the Plaza coming into the Trump. They then rent the room out for $500, $600, $700 a night, and then he would split it with you 50-50. Yeah, as we all know, anything with the Trump name on it doesn't go as planned. 2008, 2009, the economy tanks, all construction stops on the Strip. The Israeli group goes bankrupt on that particular project. Trump is stuck with 1 tower, and he cancels the 2nd tower. All right, now, at about the same time, Steve Wynn was opening up the Encore. Now, for many years, as you drove down the Strip, you saw this big empty lot and a whole bunch of trees along the boulevard. Rumor has it that those trees actually belonged to Steve Wynn. He didn't like his guests from the Encore looking at a big empty lot and his arch nemesis Trump in the back. All right. Trump bought out the investors after several lawsuits, turned it into strictly a hotel, and again, he figured 5-star hotel. So it's a little bit off the Strip, but it doesn't have the casino atmosphere, which is what he sold, is the luxury without the casino hassle. Problem is people didn't buy it. If you go on to TripAdvisor or Hotwire or wherever, you can get a room there for about $165, $175 a night. Definitely not a 5-star price. Also, out of the 1,200 units, he sold 300 of them to Hilton Timeshare. So you're going to start to see the timeshare crowd there, which isn't bad, but it isn't what Donald Trump had envisioned, nor is what he's marketing. So it's going to be kind of interesting over the next couple of years as this pans out. Meanwhile, that big empty lot was sold to James Packard, an Australian billionaire businessman, and he's got an idea to build another resort there. Obviously, it's not going to be a 5-star mega resort, $5 billion palace, but it's going to be something. In the meantime, Donald Trump is still stuck with 1 tower, which was supposed to be 2 towers, and an off-strip location. Good luck with that one. If you have any other questions about Las Vegas, again, go to thevegastourist.com, hit the contact button, send me your questions, and I could answer it on the next video. Until next time, this is Mark Anthony, thevegastourist.com.